So the Canadian American real estate housing markets, it's something that, we've been struggling with. See some struggles there. Um, with interest rates rising as fast as they have, both in the US and in Canada, still aren't really seeing mortgage rates come down to the point where they're stimulative again. We're seeing a slowdown in the US. We've seen a slowdown in Canada, even despite the, I guess now, 4 rate cuts in Canada. The first 3 really didn't do much. The fourth rate cut, did not, well, at least we haven't seen much stimulation here as yet. In the United States, we've actually seen short-term interest rates and longer rates actually move up. We've seen the 10-year now well above 4% in the US. We've seen even the 2-year, the 5-year. All these rates have now crept back up above 4%, and mortgage rates have gone up with them. And it has been difficult for those that are looking to buy a new home, to buy a home. We've seen home sales not doing as well. And a recent poll actually, that I have here, we learned that 74% of Canadians won't consider buying a house or refinancing until rates fall below 3%. That is the bank rate. Right now, the bank rate in Canada is 3.75. This is according to a Leger poll done in late September for I guess, everyrate.ca, which is a mortgage comparison rate site. So Leger poll saying they need to, or investors need to see a rate below 3%, which would mean another 75 basis points to a full percentage point cut in Canada. And that would take, let's say, prime rate to below 5% or in and around 5%. Maybe that would get people excited again. But I've heard people talk about the bank rate now, perhaps a neutral Bank of Canada rate may be 2.5%. So that would be another I guess 1.25%, 1.5%, 1.75% cut in the rate. And what would that do? Well, that would take us into the 4%, 4.5% prime rate for everybody if they're looking to borrow on a line of credit or for a mortgage. So these are the numbers that we're faced with. So yeah, I guess it makes sense that we've seen a slowdown in housing, and it makes sense that overall housing hasn't come back as yet. Our first chart that we have here regarding the housing activity, housing remains in a holding pattern. There you have it, 10-year monthly moving average. You can see here that home sales were above the average for quite a while, and then recently, I guess what is that? 2021 dropped significantly, and we've seen it drop again in 23 and 24, again below the 10-year monthly moving average. And it's no wonder, right? When you have high interest rates, it's very difficult to see, and it only makes sense to see housing slow down. Very difficult to see an increase in housing. Here you have our next chart. Existing home sales out of the US. And again, you can see little spikes up at certain points in time. But over the last couple of years, which is what this is, from January 22 to September 24, existing home sales have come down. There's no doubt about that. And that is, again, on the back of interest rates. So as I mentioned a little earlier, if we do see cuts in the United States, bigger cuts in Canada, quicker cuts in Canada, these charts could turn around in a hurry. I think you could see a lot of action coming up in the spring season and springtime. We could see the housing market really start to heat up, and it would not surprise me to see housing prices start to rise again. You make money a lot more accessible for a lot of individuals. There'll be a lot more money chasing very few. We've seen a lot of very few houses up for sale at times. So the supply has been low. If the demand were to heat up, then that's when you're going to see these housing prices start to heat up with multiple offers, as we saw just a few years ago. So my expectation is a very robust housing market come the springtime, on the back of what we've seen already in interest rate cuts here in our country, and what we will see over the next 2 or 3 cuts before we get into the hot selling season for housing. So overall right now, yes, housing has been, in my opinion, not doing as well. Sales not as well. New builds are slowing. But I think this could really heat up if interest rates were to fall significantly over the next few cuts.